Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Jason, and forgive me, how do you pronounce your last name?
Bascom,
Yeah, that's
Bass,
what I
and
thought, but
then Scum. Bascom.
okay. All right. I have a reputation for mispronouncing people's last names. So there.
No, it's actually pretty common. I got a few people that call me Bascom or Bascom and stuff. So I don't care, just whatever. I get called really bad names by my friends. So
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
my
it's
last
a
name
friends.
is constantly mispronounced, misspelled. So I'm with you.
Yeah,
To the point it amuses me now. Like my last name is spelled Bua, and I love when my mail comes Bug, Bug, or Bun. My sister and I, we call each other. I got Bug today. She's like, "Damn it, I wanted Bug. I only got Bun."
yeah. People want to end at a B at the end of my last name and say Bascom. I'm like, I'm not French. I'm like, there's no B.
I was going to ask you what is that nationality?
Oh, dude, I'm a mutt. We're a lot of German, but Welsh, maybe a smidge of Irish.
Okay.
You name it. Like we got something in us from
What,
everything.
what, I'm convinced that there is no Welsh language. I think that it's just a joke that they're playing on the rest of the world
Probably.
because they just put a bunch of consonants together and then have no rhyme or reason to how to pronounce that. I'm
We're,
like, are you kidding me?
I guess we're like 4 billionth in line for the crown in England. Like if enough people pass away, like our family steps up, I
Oh,
guess. But
really? Oh, I'm
yeah, like so we're somehow related to royalty in some way, shape, or form.
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. My
It's
aunt did a
it'd be
big
cool to
family
have a
tree
comic
thing.
book guy and an American sitting on the British throne. That would be fun.
That would be dope.
Yeah, that's one of my guilty pleasures is King Ralph. I just get a kick out of a.
Dude, King Ralph is such a great movie. Love that movie. He just wants a Whopper. Can't
And
even get a
bowling.
Whopper, dude. I love that movie. Yeah.
So those of you who are watching don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about a bad. Is it a '90s movie
First
starring
90s.
why can't I even think of his name?
John Goodman.
John Goodman. He becomes
Yep.
the King of England.
Yep.
And a very gruesome opening scene. The whole royal family gets a portrait taken. The wire hits a puddle, and everybody gets electrocuted.
Yeah,
I'm like,
everybody's fried. Like way more people in the royal family, like in that area, would have to pass away for us to like be stepped up. Like the janitor, I think, even has to go. So, but like my aunt did a lot of research, before the internet and like all the books and all the stuff and all the things. She found out we were related in some way. I think through marriage, through royalty. So,
oh, cool.
yeah.
There you go. What state do you live in now?
I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just outside Cleveland, so I'm like right on the lake. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm in New York. So
Okay.
the other thing I can't help but notice, and I need to comment, is I love the wood paneling behind.
Yeah, well, I'm legally blind, so I not just that, I'm severely in debt, so I live with my mother, and so I'm in the spare room with the wood paneling. So yeah.
Well, I was living in Queens a couple of years ago, and I moved out here to Suffolk County, out in the middle of the woods, and I bought the house from the original owner. The guy who built the house, he was like in his 90s, passed away, and I'm the second owner. And the house has never been redone. So you go upstairs, it's all wooden paneling.
Nice.
It's awesome. Like my sister came over, she was just like, because she saw pictures, and she's like, "Is your house old?" Like she got all excited because she loves, or she calls it quaint.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah. Like downstairs was this was like a scary dungeon. My wife wouldn't come down here, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm a construction worker.
Nice.
I hired a couple of guys. We fixed this all up. Down here is awesome, but you go upstairs, it's like you expect Reuben Kincaid to be talking to Shirley Jones, Mike Brady, just hanging out with leisure suits and big collars. They got a purple that I'm afraid to tear up.
My friends all joke like they're like, that's where Jason hides the bodies. I'm like, yeah, well, where you got to put them somewhere,
You got to put them somewhere.
You got to put them somewhere. I don't have a crawl space, so
Yeah, but yeah, I just laugh because everybody's like, "Oh, remember the '80s?" and they show like all these pastel rooms and everything like. No,
oh yeah,
80s, right behind you. That's the '80s.
yeah, oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, this is total '80s right here. Yeah.
So anyway, I wasted 5 minutes of your time talking about paneling and.
No, man, I'll talk about anything.
Yeah, me too. Believe it or not, I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy talking to people about comic books and nerd stuff. I actually still like this stuff. I'm a weirdo. So, who was it that somebody told me to reach out to you to talk to me, and now I'm forgetting. I talked to so many people.
Yeah, you're a big name in the indie sphere here. No, Stippling Vaughn.
Stippling. Yeah, Stippling's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, Stipling's a great guy. I actually met him in person at Baltimore Comic Con, and he suggested having. I think he mentioned maybe Topicless to you. With Luke and I, we host Topicless, which happens to be conflicting with this at 9:15 on Tuesdays. We haven't missed a week. We do it every week.
You want to cut this short then at like 9:10?
Dude, when we're done here, I'm gonna go eat dinner. I got books to fulfill, so I might message him. He's got This is the thing, this is a great thing about Topicless is like we bounce back and forth with channels. So one week it'll be on mine, one week it'll be on mine his. So we bounce back and forth. And if one of us can't, like, because I put out a book, Luke's working on a book now, so whenever it comes times for him to promote and chill, like he might miss a Tuesday. But we always have somebody that'll fill in at some way, shape, or form, or we'll just fly solo. Like, you know what I mean, if we need to.
I sent him the link to join us if he wants to pop in.
Oh, I mean, it's up to him. I know he scheduled the stream, so he because we schedule it ahead of time. So yeah, but and like I said, we haven't missed one though. We haven't missed a week for 4 years straight. So it's
no,
dude, you're more than fine. I'm this is my fourth book. Frog G is the fourth book that I've done, and there's been plenty of times where I miss a Tuesday or something like that because of fulfillment or campaigning or whatnot. Like I said, when he does his book called Mercenaries Guild that he's drawing right now, he's going to have to be doing the same thing, hitting the campaign trail, getting on the channels, talking it up. Yeah. So like I said, we end up missing Tuesdays sometimes, and we're all more than understanding. We're like, go do your thing. Go promote, go talk about comics, go have a good time. Because we do it every week, so it's not like we're like, and the main thing for the show was, and I'll brush up on it real quick, was we got together and we're like, Dan Fraga, wonderful human being. He had a Fragtober and stuff like that. And we were following Dan Fraga when it was Couch Doodles. So he would just draw and stuff like that. So Luke and I were talking, we're like, wouldn't it be great if we just did a show where all we do is just draw and talk comics, like once a week, whatever, we'll be fine. And that's initially what it is. It's a draw stream that we just talk about, and it's called Topicless because there's no scheduled like talking points.
Topic list. I thought it was topic list. Okay, topic.
No, topic less because we don't have talking points. Like every now and then I might be like, hey, I saw this movie or I picked up this comic, and then what did you think about this? Or hey, let's talk about aliens. Like there's really no set format. It's
just buddies hanging out talking.
It's buddies hanging out talking and drawing. Like that was the main foundation of it. It was supposed to be an art stream, and it still is. But we do get our friends on that are writers or just friends that are fans in the chat. So it's kind of evolved into this just hangout type stream where every now and then you'll have Shelby Robertson will come on and draw, or Jimmy Reyes will be on, or we've had Aaron Preston Acevedo on, and so we get a lot of cool guys. I could list Dan Plago, Billy Basco, my colorist, Ink Spots. We get a lot of great guys on, and we're all friends. We hang out, we draw, and we talk. It's kind of a very adult oriented though. So if you're watching this on the replay, you're like, I might want to check it out. If you don't like potty humor, you might want to stay away.
Put the link in the private chat, and I'll put the link in the public chat.
Yeah, I'll put Luke's link in there. Like I want people to watch your show, so I kind of.
Yeah, but they can watch this later. The internet is forever.
This is true. That does check out. So let me. I'll go do that. I saw Haldir was in the chat.
Yeah, Haldir's moderating.
Yeah, like and subscribe, everybody.
Like and subscribe. I'm so bad at that kind of stuff. I just get excited to talk to people. So I'm going to bring up your campaign here since you brought it up. You got Frog G, Voodoo Gods, and Magic, and you sent me the link to check this out. I got to say, this art looks really, really cool.
Thanks, man. It's I do the line art, and he goes by Ink Spots. He colored Cash Grab, Charlie's London, stuff like that. So he's my colorist on it, and he does a lot of work on it. And he's also the great thing about Frog G. Let me get this real quick for you, man. I don't mean to stall up the stream here.
Yeah, I'm enjoying looking at this comic.
Yeah.
I get embarrassed when I have a guest on and they show me their campaign, and I'm like,
Oh no! I should have been prepared. Okay,
oh,
so yeah,
Hydeal's got your back.
thanks, Haldir. We love Haldir. Yeah, he's probably over in Topicless also. But no. The great thing about Frog G is that the lore behind it is amazing because Frog G is a mod in link dropper in a lot of chats. So I had a book called Absolute 2. During that campaign, there was a tier where you can back it and get drawn as a trading card, and I'd have Dungeons and Dragons stats on the back, so you could play as that character in Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's dope. I had a couple of those, and my first campaign had that stuff too. Irene does it with Fiendish, where she has another D&D role playing type game in there.
I'm going to show you
Pathfinder.
See, here's the card for my campaign.
Nice.
That's the patriarch. And then on the back, it has his stats for.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to do, man. Yeah. We're all nerds. We love that stuff. So you in Absolute 2, you backed that tier. I had 2 of them. Global Frequency had backed a 1. He became a dragon. That I drew it. That card was colored by Matt Yackey. Phenomenal. Yackey also did the colors on the supplemental, drawn by the cover drawn by Matt Barr, which is that right there. So that's dope. But anyway. Yeah, Matt Barr drew that with Matt Yackey on the colors. So good. And then then I'll get to the supplemental because Inkspots drew the supplemental. I inked it. So we flipped. But so yeah, Frog G backed that trading card, and he became a card that I drew up, and then Inkspots colored it because I always wanted to work with Inkspots because I saw his colors on a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I love the way he colors, and he just crushed it out of the park. And whenever I showed it online, I posted it, and all the comments were, when does this comic come out? I'm like, well, no, this was just a tier. So this book came about because of a fan in the chat backed the campaign, and the fans demanded the comic. So that's what's also one great thing about Frog G is the lore behind it is wonderful. So, and then I got a lot of my friends together, and we all drew stuff for it and stuff like that. So
do you remember? I can't remember the name of the artist, but the Rat Fink that was
Rat Fink. Yeah. Barr killed it. Barr killed it on this cover, and Yackey got those colors in there. It's gorgeous, man. It's really good. Yeah.
This reminds me of the '70s underground comic scene, and I love Matt's work. Matt's doing a page for my comic too.
Oh, nice. Oh, you won't be disappointed.
Oh no, I asked him months and months ago, and then he's like, okay, I got it, and then we didn't talk for a long time, and I don't want to be a pest. I'm like,
I get it. No, I don't. I'm the same way. I don't like pestering.
I gotta ask him. And then he must have been telepathic. He sent me the finished art. I thought we were still gonna, and I'm so glad I didn't interfere. It's better than what I had in my head. He was so.
You're right. Well, see, that's the thing. Well, also Matt did the logo for Frog as well, but Frog G the logo. But that's a great thing. Like we asked him to do this. He sketched something up real quick, and he showed us the layout, and we're like, dude, that's perfect. It was a one and done. We didn't even have to. And then we sent it over to Yackey, and Yackey just sent us the product. He's like, what do you think? We're like, this is insane. This is crazy good. So yeah. So that's the supplemental on the book. But so the story about Frog G is he's a mechanic. He's a regular Joe dude, and he gets cursed by a voodoo priestess witch and turned into a frog. And then he gets sent on a quest by Death to kill a god and win back his humanity and get back to his fiance. So it's a fairy tale kind of epic story. It's a lot of fun, and I'm in the middle of fulfilling it right now. I was waiting on the supplemental to get printed. I just got it a few days ago, so we're right back into fulfillment. So people if they back it, they're going to be getting it very soon. So Inkspots and I are already working on Frog G2. So nice. We're hitting the ground on this thing, man. And you got a lot of stretch goals on this stuff that ad hoc art. Adam Hockey, he drew that, and Dan Plagle drew that. Inkspots colored these, so Dan Plagle drew that one. Boob Dan art. A lot of my friends like Luke Alietta, the guy that my co-host on Topicless, he did a trading card. Shelby Robertson has a trading card. We got bangers on this campaign. Irene Strakowski did a variant, and cool. Billy Basco colored it. So, like I said, nothing but bangers on this campaign. It's a lot of fun. Oh, it's so great. This has been a really fun project. And like I said, Inkspots and I are working on the second one now. There's going to be 3 of them. And then when we're done, we're going to swing back into our own stuff because I got Absolute. Ink Spots is going to be putting out a comic called Metal Mayhem Rock Boy. He's got plenty of other plans too. So, we aren't just pigeonholed with Frog. Um, and by the way, Frog G is not because of Cyber Frog. Frog G, the guy, he got his name in the Navy years ago. So before
He's based on a real person.
Yeah, well, yes and no. The name is based off of Frog G, the real person. And like I said, when he backed that one tier, I sent him the preliminary line art, and he's like, "Oh, that's dope. That's really cool." So we collaborated on that. So Frog G is a co-creator, and then I sent it to Ink, and Ink colored it. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah,
I was wondering because there seems to be like a lot of Frog comics lately. So I was wondering if you're tangentially related.
Happy accident, man. It's like I said. The story is the way Frog G got his name because he's a mod in chats. Been for years, slings links and stuff like that. But I was in the Navy years and years and years ago, and then they were at a pub or a bar or whatever before they were about to set off on whatever. I'm not a Navy person. I don't know what they call it, but before they go out to mission, let's say. But they were all in a bar and they were toasting, and one of the guys said, "Tomorrow we slip havoc and let loose the frogs of war.
Frogs of war.
We croak havoc and let loose the frogs of war." So everybody then got designated a letter, and he got designated the G. So he's Frog G. Oh. So yeah, so that's like I said, a lot of people who see this, they think, oh, because of Cyberfrog, you got a frog book. And I'm not knocking Cyberfrog. I have a bunch of Cyberfrog stuff.
Yeah, I got everything by Cyberfrog.
It's so good, dude. Ethan's art is fantastic. But this came about, Frog G came about because of the Navy, like years ago. They're not tied at all together. So yeah. Okay.
So I'm looking at your tiers over here.
Oh yeah. We got a few tiers.
$85 for everything.
Yeah. With that, you end up saving money. Because if you backed all the covers and stuff separately with the shipping, it's way much more. So we bundled all that together with the covers. Yeah.
Okay. The beanie cap.
Yeah, there's a beanie. Yeah. That was a pain. We're not doing that.
This is the standard cover.
That's the standard cover right there. Yeah,
I got it back. I get the standards of everything because I back so much. I can't afford to back all.
I get you, dude. I get it. I used to back high, but times are tough, so I'm like, I'll get just the $25. Yeah,
I'm 5 weeks without a paycheck, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be really picky about what you pick up. I get it.
We were talking before we went live. I'm turning into a disgusting blob. I'm not working. My wife's working from home. We don't have a car because I crashed the car. And last night I went to bed at 10 o'clock because my wife's like, we got to get up at 10 for the doctor. So I slept for 12 hours, came home from the doctor's appointment, and went right back to sleep. I only woke up like 2 hours ago. I'm a disgusting lazy potato right now.
Well, the thing is, you have an injury with
but at least I'm not spending money.
That is true. But like I said, with an injury, though, there's the recovery time. So there's downtime. So what's important is the physical therapy that goes along with it, and then also maintaining that afterwards. And then, like, I tore my rotator cuff last year, and I got
time to heal.
Yeah, and I had surgery on it at the end of June, and so I pumped out these pages before then, and so I was recovery for 6-7 months, and I've been hitting the gym ever since also because I do try to maintain some sort of exercise in a way.
Did you injure your arm that you draw with?
Yes. Oh. That's why I had. Well, that's the thing. We were in the middle of doing this, and I had the beginning of the year, I hurt my arm, and so it took forever because of workman's comp because I had a network, so that took forever. And they were like, "Oh, your surgery's set for June," and I was like, "All right, well, I got to finish." So I was just cranking out pages as the highest quality I could at the highest speed that I could before my surgery because I knew I wasn't going to be able to really do anything afterwards. So
yeah, I'm a construction worker, and everybody I work with has been out with their injured rotator cuff at some point in their career. Mm-hmm. And I've been priding myself that I'd never missed a day of work for an injury. And then this year, I was out for 6 weeks with hernia surgery, and now I'm out for a minimum of 8 weeks for this broken neck. So I think this year I'm making up for everything.
Well, I mean,
I'd like to address Eric the Guapo, Eric the Handsome. Every time I bring up his picture, I realize and marvel at how handsome he is. He said he stopped backing almost entirely because of too many creators he years. Like I hear you, and I understand that. I will say this: I was 85% done when I started my campaign. I had a little bit of setback. I broke my neck. My colorist dad had, but you know what? He sent me 2 pages today. He sent me the next 3 pages this week, and then we letter and start printing. I'm ready to go.
That's dope. Well, and like Eric, he does have a great point. Even us, we were late. Like we were several months late, but and I say this to a lot of people. One, if you're transparent about it, I think people are pretty understanding. Not only that, you broke Ink Spots broke his neck. Actually.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He's
like an injured cast.
You know what I mean? So he's a plumber, and at one point he fell into a ditch.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he fell into a ditch like head first, wherever. He could have even drowned, but he thought he was fine. So for a long time he was working. Then all of a sudden he started developing like blood clots and doing all this stuff. He went to the hospital. Here he broke he broke his neck. So he was like like nothing but chaos has surrounded this campaign.
I'm an
like I hurt my
yeah. I was about to say, I realized how stupid it was, but luckily I was in a car crash, so the ambulance came. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have any neck pain. I had just injuries from the the airbag deploying,
right.
And the car crash. I was definitely in shock for a while. I was talking nonsense. They were laughing at me when they were putting me in the ambulance. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm calling up Mark Miller because we were supposed to talk that day. Like my neck is freaking broken, and I'm like, Mark Miller, don't be upset with me. I'm in the
dude.
Before I call my wife, I just want everybody to know.
Yeah. No, hey, I understand that. Like, 20 years ago, I was driving. Stupid mistake, but I ended up flipping my car. And when they took me to the hospital, the first thing I said to them was, "When you call my mom, please let her know I'm not dead." I'm like, just say that right away. I'm like, because she's gonna freak out. I'm like, you know what I mean? So yeah.
To call my wife to tell her I was in a car accident.
Yeah.
And then I told her, ambulance is on the way. The car is totaled. Obviously, I'm alive. I'm not bleeding. And then 3 hours later or 4 hours later, I told her, don't even go to the hospital. What are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to stand. Don't go to the hospital. So I'm in the hospital. Then I have to call her. I broke my neck.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was the worst phone call I ever made in my life.
Well, you're alive, and that's what's important, and you're on the road to recovery. So that's the best thing, yeah. But that's what I say to everybody. Like, the books may be late, but as long as you're transparent, like, and you explain why, and it's a logical life. Like, I'm sorry, people don't see me streaming every day, and my book's 3 years late. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like, it's like, okay, well, he's not working on his book; he's just streaming or something. It's like, no, we're very transparent. We're like, this happened. Everybody I know that's been late, they try to be very transparent with their fans and backers, and I think it's
remarkably patient about stuff like that.
I am too. But here's the thing: you see you in a neck brace, like it's not like you're like trying to pull people over on stuff. So I think a lot of the people are leaning, but also people stop backing because of it. I understand. I totally get it. Like I don't begrudge anybody on any of that. So yeah.
Yeah, when I set up. When I was building the campaign, they're like, when do you think you're going to deliver? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the Scotty method. So I'm going to give everybody a little inside secret over here. Scotty from Star Trek, he always says, oh, we need 6 hours, Captain. And Captain Kirk's like, no, you got 20 minutes. He goes, okay. Because Scotty only needed 10 minutes. So right. I oversold it, but I'm glad that I did because a couple of, I hired a few people I shouldn't have hired, and I had to start all over again from scratch. So I'm glad that I overshot it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll have a more realistic on my second campaign, which we already started. We're on the 7th page of the second comic.
Nice. Yeah. And that's the thing, though. Like, we were ahead of the curve when we launched. Like, we thought we were ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Like, we had plenty of pages done. We were in the groove. We were going. Everything was working well. And then next thing you know, like, I get shingles, Ink Spots breaks his neck. I tear my rotator cuff. Like, all these things just started cascading. And we worked as we could on the book as much as we could. Like, we didn't, but we were transparent. We put up updates. We said what was going on. Like, we
shingles. I don't know why, but that scares me. I've never had shingles.
I had it on my leg and the bottom of my foot, and when I got it, it was painful, insanely painful. But I still went to work the next.
Professors that were in agony at different times, different schools.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pain. It's a severe pain, and I even went into work the next day trying to work because I don't like I'm like you. I don't like missing work. I go to work sick. I go to work injured. I work. I tried to work with tore my rotator cuff. I went to work the next day, even though I couldn't pick up a half a pound. Like I just couldn't lift it.
What
So
do you do if you don't mind me asking?
I work in shipping.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're a blue collar guy like me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I got to do manual labor because my eyes are so bad. I really can't read anymore. So I kind of have to do something. And the way I work is like, yeah, we have to read things sometimes. I work around it. I have my ways, but I mean, it's mainly repetitive. The skin thing, you hit the buttons, it goes. So it mainly is pick up the thing. That's why I try to, I still try to work out and stuff. I was in better shape like 4 or 5 years ago because I was working. Well, actually, it was like 6 years ago. I was working somewhere else across from a gym, and after work, I would just go to the gym for like 2 hours. So, but I'm not too bad off now for
Do you
being
have to wear big
45.
glasses or like? I'm not making fun of it. Like
No, no,
obviously,
no. For safety
for
glasses and stuff.
recovery,
Oh, you mean for to see? No, I have what's called retinitis pigmentosa. It's a degenerative eye condition that's attached. That my strand is attached to my kidney disease. Dude, I'm a genetic freak, but so it's slowly. Everything's slowly closing around me. So I don't know if I'll ever fully go blind or if they'll catch it and maintain it for as it is. I'll never be able to see fully again, the way it was. Like they can't reverse it and I always say for now.
right?
I'm a big guy about technology, and I do understand with AI, I'm against AI art and stuff like that, but I think AI has benefits and can be used for good. And I think with technology and AI, like something could be because they are getting people who are fully blind and have been fully blind forever they could see like light and shape, which if you've never been able to see before, that's like a
Yeah,
godsend.
my
So
wife's family has a lot of multiple sclerosis, and
there you go.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean. And she's terrified to take medicine because certain medicines they're finding out trigger multiple sclerosis. So she was like, I can't take this COVID shot. It hasn't been around long enough, and so but she's been following up on like in the past 2 years or so, they made a lot of breakthroughs with multiple sclerosis detection and,
Hmm.
and slowing down, but not curing it. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so
And that's
yeah,
the thing. No, I was gonna say and she's right. Like it's smart to keep, investigating that stuff, be privy to what's going on. And like I said, I I think technology is going to advance faster than the medicine's going to advance. So, like with MS or anything, like they even have the guy that's paralyzed. He's got a chip in his head for the Neuralink.
right.
Must put that Neuralink in him, and he's like I'm able to play like video games now. It's just amazing. Like, yeah, he's looking at, and I've always said this, like, not life changing lemonade, all that garbage, but try to be positive in some way, shape, or form. I told my one friend, she told me, she's like, you're very, very upbeat for considering your condition and everything you're going through. I'm like, well, it's better than being depressed all the
Right.
time.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? Like, it's
Right.
not like I'm never depressed. Yeah, of course I get depressed, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm drawing comics now. A dream of mine. I've always wanted to draw comic
Yeah.
books since I
Yeah.
was a little kid. I got 4 out now. So I mean, I'm doing the thing.
I know maybe I'm blessed that I don't have like a chemical depression or anything like that, but I tell people depression's a choice.
Mhm.
And I'm sure somebody in the chat's going to get offended by that. I don't mean to be offended, but I'm talking like the average. You could be because I was an angry, miserable person. I'm going to say for a long time, and then one day I said, "What? The life just goes on, and I'm miserable." So I just started.
Right.
I'm gonna just be happy. It was
Well,
literally like a light switch. I'm gonna be happy, and it's been about 15 years. I'm laughing at everything.
nice, man.
I
See,
got the
that's
Gene Hackman thing going on. 98 years old.
no. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, it also
Oh
like
man,
you said.
don't be depressed, comics mate. Don't be depressed.
Oh no, Dean! No, don't be depressed.
Don't
We
be
love you,
depressed.
Dean. Dean, be happy that we love you. But no, that's the other thing. Like, and I do say, like, an average Joe, I don't know how they feel, but I'm sure if you get bummed out, like, I love exercising. To me, it does help. Like, if I go to the gym and I start hitting the weights or something, when I'm leaving, I feel better. I just feel better. Like I do. I'm angry all the time. I told my one friend, I'm like, I'm constantly angry just
Uh,
because it's just when you get older, you do tend to get grumpier in general, also. But
what's funny? I read 15, 20 years ago that they say that men are the happiest in their 50s. And I was like, that is just grade A bullshit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
that's not
when I
accurate.
read that, I was probably like 32. And I'm like, yeah, right. When I'm old and fat and miserable and bald. But now I'm 56 years old. I've never been happier.
Well,
No,
yeah,
I'm
I guess it depends. Yeah,
neck brace and everything.
but that's the thing. Also, I think also because I'm 45, so I'm middle aged. But I think also the older you get, the more you're like, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Like, this
At that
doesn't bug
point,
me. That doesn't bug me.
right.
But and the same thing with the ailments. Like, they do get to me from time to time, but I'm like, you know what? I live with it. I have no other choice but to live with it.
Right.
So I might as well
What's
just
the other
live
choice?
with it. Yeah, why be miserable? I still collect comics. I can't read them, but I can still see them. I can still look through them. And lately, I've been picking up more and more. Like, when I was a kid, I obviously couldn't afford, like, insanely expensive like $50 to $100 was insanely expensive for me back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm picking those up. So, like, I'm picking up like the Dark Phoenix saga. I'm picking
Oh,
up
good stuff.
you know I'm picking up all the like a old Grendel books that I wouldn't have been able to afford, and just saving up or doing something like putting little payments here or there, doing whatever I can to get them. I can never do it before, but I can still flip through them, look at them, and appreciate them for what they are. Even though I can't read them right anymore, I can still be like, I have this now. I now have, like, I have the Wolverine limited series. I never had it as a kid,
Oh, good.
never. So now and plus it's signed by Claremont now. I mean,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's so dope. So I still, like, happy. The last thing I read actually was an indie book. I think it was Tropical Magics by Pedro. I think so, so I haven't read anything in a long time, mainly because I can't see to really read it. But like I said, like Dean's in the chat, phenomenal artist, and that's why I also do like hanging out with artists. I can see what they do, So it's I just love art, man. I've been doing it for so long. I got out of comics for a little bit, and I was doing art for my friends' bands and flyers and stuff like that, and it really changed my style and like what I do, and I incorporate that now into my comics, but. I just love artwork, dude. I love drawing. I live the Frege motto, just, or mantra, just draw every day. Even if it's like 5 minutes or 5 hours, draw every day. And yeah, so I just love it, man. I'm having fun.
Are you trained, or are you just one of these kids that just started drawing and never stopped? Did you go?
It's a little bit of both. I've been drawing since I was 10. So when I was 23, though, I did go to college, which I recommend everyone not do if you go to art college. But I had fantastic teachers. I really did. I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and the Art Institutes are notorious for being money mills. Like, I think they actually went out of business. But I was fortunate enough that my teachers were amazing. I'm still like a couple of them. I'm still in contact with. They're fantastic and amazing artists in general, also. So I was fortunate in that regard, but I didn't need to go. I already knew how to draw in a way. If anything, I learned like to appreciate, like, how to do certain techniques like watercolors. I got into more through college, stuff like that. Also, I was totally just completely anti-digital. I was like, digital's cheating. It's, never to use digital. And then it wasn't until I got into college where my eyes were still okay enough that I could see, okay enough to do everything. But I started using digital art, and I'm like, you know what? It's not. It's another tool. Is what I kind of just adapted like everybody else does. So I still love traditional. It's my favorite medium to use, mainly because I like getting dirty. I like smearing things, and I love doing all that stuff.
Probably has a
But
more visceral feel. You know what I mean?
it is. There's something
You can
about
get
that.
the pencil on the paper, and yeah.
Exactly. There's more of a metaphysical feel to it, a spiritual feel, that connection that you have, that energy that goes from you to the pen to the paper or pencil. It's just, there's something about it that's just more earthy, and I just like it a lot more. And I do digital, so I'm not knocking it at all. I actually can do, because of my eyes, I utilize both tools. Like with Frog G, I can only get like the pupil a certain way, or like, this minutia detail like that, like that precise stuff. I have to do that digitally, and then I print it out. And like, here's the
Well, I imagine with digital, you could probably make the screen really big to do small.
exactly like this is kind of like this. This is a piece that I'm working on but like, you can see, here's some of the, like, just line art right here, and I'll go in and I'll just add all this cross hatching and stuff to it. So it's an original digital because you can't replicate this, So I'll add like I obviously drew his eye fine, but little itty bitty like pupils on a human or something, like I have to do that digitally. I can do it traditionally, but it's messier. I have a book called Absolute One Stormy Night. It's I don't have to pull it up or anything, but that's all traditional, and I wanted it to be a little grittier and dirtier because it was Sin City's Silent Night
Yeah.
it takes place in the. That's what I was going for. I was going for like a grittier, silent. It was a silent comic, so I wanted something everything to be messier, so it's not as finely like precise. So I purposely made it that way. So that's why it's all traditional. So like his pupil might be a hair off if you zoom in on it because couldn't exactly, but it's close enough that when it's print small, you can't really tell too much. But yeah, I just love traditional a
But
lot.
if comic book art was perfect, then it's photographs. It's the imperfections that makes your style. Like I as much as I love John Byrne, you could find little errors and mistakes and stuff, but
Oh yeah,
that's part of the fun. Those are
but
John Byrne's mistakes.
I think
George Perez makes different mistakes.
I'm not a huge fan of his art. I like his energy, but I think Liefeld said the imperfections are what make
Right.
the piece identifiable, and I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the AI stuff. Like if you tweak it so it's so perfect, and it's like then it just looks plastic at that point. I love Alex Ross, but his stuff even still looks like
Right.
it's like it's
I
a
like
piece of
Alex
art.
Ross because it looks like my uncle dressed up as Batman. It doesn't
Yeah,
look
exactly.
like Jim Lee draws this ridiculous looking,
Mhm.
muscular, perfect guy. But when Alex Ross draws Superman, like that's what my father looked back. When my father was 32 years old, he looked like Alex Ross's Superman.
Nice.
Like Robert Mitchum, kind of
Yeah.
out of shape, but you didn't want to mess with them.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I love that.
Well, and to me, that's the most fantastic thing about comics. And don't get me wrong, I still love like the Neil Adams and
Yep.
art, like all the precise stuff. But I love the spectrum. I love the Alex Ross, and I'm a huge Sam Keith fan. Everyone, like a lot of people who know me, they know I love Sam Keith. He's my favorite.
You know what?
But
Just you saying that, I see the connection in your art.
yeah, he's a huge influence of mine. And Jonathan Weishak, who's kind of a lesser known, but in as far as like popularity goes, but he's so insanely good, and you can see a lot of his style in like my I call them nonsensical pieces. But
What's this artist's name? I missed the name.
Jonathan Weishak,
Oh, I gotta look him up.
look him up. If you like Sam Keith, you'll like Weishak.
Okay.
They actually have collaborated a few
Oh,
times.
cool.
So yeah, so they worked on a thing called When Chickens Revolt. They did it so Weishak would do a page. It's not scripted. Weishak would do a page, then Sam Keith would do a page, and then so they would trade back and forth. So there's no script. It's just wherever the story went, it went.
Oh, so it's like a round robin.
Yeah, it's like a round robin thing. And as far as I know, I don't think it ever saw print, but I think you can find it digitally online somewhere. But it's When Chickens Revolt. Why I don't know. But
you were talking about digital and art. I remember, my coworker lived next door to John Romita Sr. So we would just talk. Oh, you're into comics? Yeah. Do you know my next door neighbor is John? I was like, are you kidding me? Like I flipped out. He's like, he's important because to him, he was just the nice guy that lived next door. He's not into comics. I was like, he was into sports. I'm like, you live next door to Ted Williams of comic books. He's like, really? So then he got excited, even though he didn't. So we went over, we met him, and he was telling me he can't draw digitally. He's like, I don't want to draw digitally. I will never. He goes, my son learned how to draw digitally, and he's like, and he goes, and I think his art suffered for it. But he goes, but I will never draw digitally. And he held up this jar of ink, and this jar of ink had like a third of ink in it, and he says, this is the last jar of ink on the planet. This company went out of business 20 years ago. When I heard that they were going out of business, I bought all the ink.
all up.
This is the last jar.
Oh, wow.
And when this jar is empty, I'm never drawing again.
Oh, wow.
And I felt like preserving that jar of ink, like if you ever play Dungeons and Dragons, this is an artifact that must be preserved.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh man. So I wonder, did he pass? And is that jar ink still on the shelf?
I hope so. I hope that.
Did he use it before he died? You know what I mean? Is it still on the shelf? And if it's still on the shelf, it should be like put in a plastic thing and put into a museum. So,
well, it's funny. Even I'll watch Frege sometimes, and he'll be like, "Yeah, I got this pencil back in 1987." I'm like, "Dude, you've had that pencil for that because it belonged to an artist that gave it to him and stuff like that." So. I love stuff like you say, they're like artifacts, or like little treasured gems that we hold dear, even that you just don't want to like it's like down to a nub and you're gonna keep it forever, So
he gets to his house refilling it with cheap. Well, he's gone now, so that's kind of a report, but that would be funny. That would be funny.
Yeah. But yeah. And I get the whole digital thing. Like I said, it makes sense. And I know a few artists that they won't go digital, and I'm fine with that. Hey, I probably, in all honesty, I probably wouldn't be going digital ever either if I had 2020. I would probably never. I love traditional so much. Like Inkspot's the guy that colors. He does both too. He does digital and traditional. He'll do watercolors and acrylic paints over. He'll print out a Frog G page, and we have like 7 or 8, I think, traditional colored Frog G pages. So he'll print it out on watercolor paper, let the ink dry, and then he'll go in, watercolor it. Maybe add a couple embellishes in Photoshop, but aside from that, it's like a. So yeah, I think as artists, we grow up, at least our age anyway, and maybe in the people, if you're growing up in your 20s, you might stick to just digital only. But I think with our age, we love the traditional so much because we grew up with it. Like
Right.
we grew up with the technology. We didn't grow up because of the technology. So
I remember like when I started hearing that artists. I think I'm I'm not an artist. I can't draw, and I would just buy comics, and I just in my mind they would just draw it on pencils and paper. I think that was the first time meeting John Romita Sr. When he talked about digital drawing, and I was like, really, people draw, and I was like, oh my god, it was like it kind of was like sad. Oh my god, I'm so out of touch with this medium that I love. I didn't even realize that people draw on computers, and then I thought like that's cheating. Then you see how people actually draw, and you realize it's not cheating.
it's not, because I mean, you still implement the same methods, like with layering. Like you would
We
draw
still do
like
it.
blue line, and then you would draw pencil, and then you would draw like maybe tighter pencil, and then ink. It's
And
the same
perspective,
digitally.
all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
Now, yes, they you can quote unquote cheat in digital by with perspective tools, and just it can morph it for you and stuff like that. Now, is that cheating? Is that using a tool at hand? That's up for debate.
Well, Wally Wood used to say, "Don't draw what you could trace. Don't trace what you could copy." You know what I mean? So, like,
Yep.
I remember buying old Fantastic Four copies, and they had black and white pictures of buildings, superposed on the covers.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Kirby was experimenting with early, I don't, 3D assets, for lack of a better term.
Right.
It's always, but is it artful? That's what matters to me. If can it trick me, and if it tricks me, then it worked.
Correct. If it tricks you, and not only that, are they capable of doing it on their own if they have to? Like, these are all artists that could draw buildings just fine, that can draw in perspective just fine. Now, when you're on a monthly schedule, you gotta find ways to speed up that time frame. You
Right.
just have to, and that's why I do give like monthly comics a bit more of a pass with certain things like traced elements, or swipes, stuff like that. I give them a little bit more of a pass with stuff like what we're doing in the indies. If it takes 8 months to draw a 48 pager, make that as original as you possibly can.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I,
Now,
I look at digital as like a musician with like a computer.
mhm,
Like one guy with the computer, and he's doing horns and basses and stuff like that. That guy has to know all these instruments. He can't just hit a button and get the horn
correct.
sound that he likes. You know what I mean? So I would like to think that guy could play the trumpet and the saxophone. It's just that he's using the computer to make it easy.
And even still, you have to have the, like in that example, you have to have the ear for it. You know
Correct.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So like,
You
yeah.
give me the best computer in the world, I'm not writing a good song.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And so like, and people, there's plenty of people who'll be like, "Hey, can you draw me this?" And they'll be like, I want it to have this, this, and this." And then you give them like 3 examples, like, "Oh, I never even imagined any of those." So if you were to give them a regular computer and be like, they might be able to type in some prompts in AI, and they'll get something up, and they might be close enough to what they want. But is it full on purely creative and maybe appeasing to them? I don't think so. I think it's some sort of self gratification. And like, even with AI art, it can be used as a tool as well. Like, I've had this discussion plenty of times with plenty of my artist friends and stuff, and I'm in agreement that as for like a reference tool, like let's say you were like, oh, I'm kind of stuck in, I don't know what maybe to draw, how like these buildings or something. So you do some AI prompts for buildings, you see it like, oh, okay, and then you delete the whole thing, and then you just draw it from memory. You know what I mean, or something like that. If it gives you some sense of a pathway to doing it yourself, I'm okay. I'm a little more lenient on that. Now, if you were to just sit there and put out a piece of AI art and say, "This is mine, I did it," and you get money for it, no. That's not art. That's not you. You
I'm
shouldn't
in
be.
the part where when I even see YouTubers that are artists, that are comic book artists, and they have AI thumbnails.
Oh, I hate that.
I'm
I
like,
hate
dude,
that.
you're an artist.
You're an artist.
You're an artist, and you're using, and then you talk about AI art and comics and complaining about somebody else for using AI. And it's like, and your thumbnail is AI. I get
Like
annoyed at
like I say, I'm visually impaired, and my thumbnails are nothing to brag about, but I still make them myself. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they're the most simplistic. My video thumbnails are the easiest things on the planet. Anyone can do them, but I still at least do like I did. It's my artwork of a thumbnail. That's really it. Of the video that it contains, just it bit and blown up. That's it. But I still drew that image and I pasted it then in the thumbnail. So it's
Are
if
you
I can
familiar
do
with,
it.
Are you
What's that?
familiar with John Totleben, the artist?
Negative.
Uh, John Totleben and Steve Bissett. They did the classic Alan Moore Swamp Things.
Okay.
Uh, Steve Bissett did all like the centipede like wiggly monsters, anything like that. And then John Totleben did all the break. I guess
Did
like
they
the
do? Did they do Saga Swamp Thing? Is that what
yes,
they did? Oh,
yes.
okay. I have a few.
But he was blind. John Totleben was blind,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's the only reason why he stopped doing it was his vision got.
Mm-hmm.
But they say towards the end he had this little spot for only a short time, and I was always amazed to find out that this guy who did some of the most amazing comic book art of all time was 90% blind.
Yeah.
I think he finally lost all of his sight when he had to stop.
And
So
that I could get to that route eventually, maybe. And like I said, I'm not 90% blind, but I'm legally blind. My doctors have diagnosed me as legally blind. So, and there's a fan that's in chats quite often. Her name is Phantasmagorical.
yes, I didn't know that she did my video, my trailer video.
Oh yeah,
She was blind.
Yep, sweetest human being on the planet.
She's
I
great.
love Fanta, and
Yep.
yeah, and she's probably worse off
In the
than I
chat, hey,
am.
Fanta.
Yeah, what's up, Fanta? If you're there, but but yeah. So that's the thing. She's happy, like when we see her anyway. She's happy. She's bubbly. She's enthusiastic about comics. Like when she gets things, they're the sweetest videos ever. Whenever she's opening stuff and
Yeah.
showing it, it melts my heart. Because it's melting out of joy. It's just she's appreciating the stuff that she has, and she's in this situation where has this going on, but she doesn't let it stop her. Like, and that's what I always tell everybody. There's obstacles that come in life, and they're gonna hit you. You're gonna feel it, but you can't let it stop you. You gotta, somehow get through that wall, and whether it be through yourself or through friends. Like I have a great group of friends. They're fantastic, and I always tell everybody, surround yourself with positive people.
Yep.
Like I said, we hang out in Discord. We'll insult each other like no tomorrow. They'll make fun of me for being blind. I'll make fun of my friends for being fat.
Have you met
Like,
men? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But that's what friends do. But we got each other's backs no matter what, just because we're good people. Like don't you just be a good person. It's not hard,
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the jokes my friend said oh, you broke your neck. What were you trying to do?
Yeah.
blow
Oh yeah.
yourself. Did you bite your boyfriend when you crashed? Things like that.
Oh yeah, I love the cap shield. I remember seeing that whenever.
Oh yeah. This is all my
dope.
nerd stuff. I got that
I
room is my comic book room, my spinner rack. I love showing
Nice.
off my rack.
No, yeah. I recently, not too long ago, picked up the first appearance of Nomad, and it's in primo. It's so good of a shape, so I can't wait to. Now, how are you? Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on slabbing?
Okay, pretty controversial. I'm completely against it.
Okay.
I comic books are to be read. They're to be, I'm trying to see if I have anything old right over here, but like I know I got some old comics, but I'm reading some comics from 1992. Take them out of the bag, look at them. On Sundays, I do Sunday comics. Like I'll take out my copy of X-Men #1, my Fantastic Four #1.
Oh, jeez.
Read them and everything, and because that's what comic books are. And a lot of people say like they've never seen the letters pages, they've never seen the ads, the little bulletins of these comics. And when you slab them, you don't see the original color. Like guys like, oh, I never like, oh my God, the way the Fantastic Four was colored in the first issue of the Fantastic looks so much better than any reprint, if you ask me. Because the
Valid
paint,
point. Valid point.
can I show my hallway of comic boxes again? Oh, you want to see the picture? Whenever I talk,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen this, I'll show it.
Yeah,
And it's actually clean now. My wife wouldn't let me move any boxes, but I've been so what am I doing? I've been so stir crazy that I had to get off my butt. I've learned that men can only sit still for about 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks, I was watching TV. I was enjoying myself. My wife is a sweetheart. She actually told me, she's like, I'm loving this taking care of you. So I was like, but after 2.5 weeks, you're like, I got to do something. I went out in my backyard and I took my chainsaw and I was doing the hedges.
Nice.
So I finally cleaned up my comic book room.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's awesome.
Yes, that's my comp. That's right behind me.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, I like the shelving. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm real proud of myself. I went in, when I bought this house, this was an unused dungeon. I don't know how this guy raised 6 kids in this house and didn't finish this basement. There's 3 bedrooms upstairs. My bedroom, my wife and I's bedroom, another bedroom that she uses for a work office, and a tiny bedroom that looks like where you are right now with wood paneling.
Mm-hmm.
We got a futon and bookshelves, and that's the cat's bedroom. They like to lay there. They clean over. But how the hell did this guy raise 6 kids? It must have been in and out of the house, because this basement, there was a rug and there was a cardboard walls that when I came down here, the lights were broken, the cardboard walls. I'll put my nose over because I'm remembering the musty stench. Oh my God, it was terrible. And my wife, when she started coming down, she hit a cobweb and she went upstairs. She's like, you can have, she didn't even see. And I'm looking down here with the light on my phone, and the real estate agent was like, she's obviously never been down here before because she didn't know this house existed. She was just like, oh, this, because I was like furious. I was like, the house has to have a garage or a basement, or I don't want the house. The house she took me to had neither. So I was like yelling at her. I was like, what are you wasting my time for? And, I told you. So she was like, oh, here's a house around the block. So I was like, we might as well look at it. And it had a garage that you could see. So I was like, oh, it's got a garage. It's got a small garage. All right. And she's looking at it. She goes, you want to see the basement? I'm like, a basement. So I was like, oh my God. Like, it was, like I said, disgusting. It smelled bad. My wife was like, I'm never coming down here. And I just ripped it apart. It was a lot of fun to take a crowbar and just rip down walls.
Oh yeah.
And tear out things. And then I had to have my brother come over and reroute the heat, because he's an HV guy. So he's not quite a steam fitter and he's not quite a plumber. He does both.
Right.
And so he did that for me. Then we put the walls back up. I had a guy come and help me with the sheetrock because I wasn't carrying those down the steps.
I like the Yancey Street sign too.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Remember, I divided the whole basement into 2. 2/3 is my main room, 1/3 was the comic book room, and then I divided the comic book room in by lengths of comics. So I took the length of a long box plus 3 inches, and that was where the comics are. And then the gap in the middle was the length of a long box plus 3 inches.
Yep.
And then to the wall was the length. So so I could pull boxes.
You could pull boxes out, yeah.
And they were pressed against the other box.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got to get some kind of shelving or something eventually one day. I have like foam board in between each one, so it's not totally resting on top of one another, but it's just tough living where I live to like do it the way I need to, because I'm not going to invade my mother's house with nothing but boxes everywhere. So it's like, and I have more over there, more underneath my computer desk. So I am stacked, and it's, I'm unnerved about it all the time, but there's nothing else I can do. I like the shelving that you got there. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I moved out of my parents' house in 1993. I think it was 1990. I was going to college. I was going to college. Topicless started. If you want to bail and go to your show.
Oh, you're okay, man. He's got people there.
Okay. I just feel bad. But
No. You're good. You're good.
I was going to college aimlessly with no major and nothing, just a community college. And I got a job delivering pizza. And then the pizza guy was just like, "You want to come on as an owner? We'll just give one of the owners wants out. We'll give you 50% of the business." So I was like, I was aimless. I had no clue what to do with my life. Right now I own a pizzeria. And I did that for 3 years. That was 18-hour days. They took advantage of me, man, because the other two owners had families. I didn't.
Right.
So I was living with my parents, waking up in the middle of the night. The dough is rising. Oh my God, the dough is rising. Oh. And I'd go to the pizzeria at 4:00 in the morning, find out I took oh God, I was freaking out. And then when that closed, I was like, what do I do? I'm 25 years old. All my friends are going to college. So, I put all my comics in storage and I moved across the country. So anyway, long story short, since 1993, my comics have been in a storage unit. So 3 years ago, I built this room, put all my comics here. It's so awesome.
So when they were in storage, was it still in the same state you're in, or was it somewhere else?
No, I put them in storage in New York, and I moved to New Mexico.
Because I've contemplated about putting them in storage. I mean, I like having them here. I have access to them.
Yeah,
but I'm getting overrun. You know what I mean? So I just don't know, like humidity and all that stuff being a factor. Were your comics fine whenever you got them out of storage?
It's funny that you should say that, because I went to the storage unit in Baldwin, Long Island, where I grew up, and it's right on the water. There's a marina right next door with boats and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
So the guy showed me, and he goes to the ground floor, and I said, "No, I don't want the ground floor." And he goes, "Why?" I go, "Because it's only a matter of time before there's a flood."
Yep.
If he rolled his eyes like the most insulting eye roll possible. So we went upstairs, and he was like, "Here's upstairs." I was like, "Okay." And I bring a couple of boxes at a time, go up the elevator, and I bought like a shelving from Home Depot, and I put them there, organized them, and that was a lot of fun. That was like a home away from home. My niece would come, and we would organize comics. And then once I filled up a long box with comics, I would go there, whatever. Long story short, Hurricane Sandy happens in New York. Baldwin, Long Island was 8 feet underwater. My brother's house was destroyed. My sister's house was destroyed. My other sister's house wasn't destroyed, but it had water in it. My other brother's house was filled with water, but not destroyed. So I was calling up the storage unit, and nobody was answering the phone. On the news, Baldwin, you couldn't go into Baldwin unless you could show a driver's license, because it was like declared an emergency. And I'm like, I don't have a comic book collection anymore. My wife was like, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm not going to still buy comics. Like if my comics collection, I'm done, cold turkey. I'm not buying.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
So finally, after 3 weeks, they finally
paper towels, please. That's why I texted it to you. It's okay.
Oh, okay. So finally, after 3 weeks, they're like, "Yeah, come check out your storage unit." And when I got there was dumpsters all over the place. There was literally cranes taking shit out of the storage. And I'm like, "Oh God."
Thank you.
And I saw that one guy who rolled his eyes at me. And he's like, "Yeah, you have to use the stairs. The elevators are destroyed. We had 10 feet of water in here." I'm like, "Oh God." I'm like, "Well, I'm on the second floor." He goes, "Oh, second floor is fine." And I went, "You rolled your eyes at me," and I went upstairs, and I joked. The downstairs was like swamp thing. There was literally mud in the hallways.
Oh, geez.
There was guys in hazmat suits, because who knows what people even have in their storage unit, walking through.
Yeah.
And then I joked. We went upstairs. My wife said she saw a unicorn go running by and a butterfly. Comics were fine. And then I forget, the other hurricane came, and it was like more rain damage. The wind was big, but it wasn't a flood. So I'm like, is this where it's going to get destroyed, where it's going to rip the roof off? Was fine.
Right.
So 2 hurricanes, but I, can't push my luck any further. And then last night, there was storms here in my town so bad that the duck pond down the road overflowed and blew out the road, and a bridge got knocked out. The emergency crews were coming out. Cars were getting flipped over. And I'm like, I think that's why I slept for 12 hours today, because 2 nights ago I was like coming
stressed
down
out
every 2 hours. But everything's fine.
No, yeah, I was gonna say here, wasn't that long ago. I think it was like a week or 2 ago. We actually had like 4 tornadoes, which is weird for Ohio, especially.
Michael,
so I mean, thankfully, like, they weren't severe, and none, our area really didn't get, any damage or anything like that. But that's something I always dread too, is like, what if something happens? Like every now and then, because mother opens the window and my coffee warmer, I have a coffee warmer right here for my coffee, and I have two long boxes like right here. They got my X-Men and everything like that. And she'll open the window and it'll knock over the coffee cup. She's like, "Oh, I knocked over your coffee cup on the." I'm like, "It's coffee. It's on a long box. It's not going to seep through the cardboard. Even if they're bagged and boarded, they should be good." I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I'm sure they're fine." But my long box smells like coffee, which is nice.
Yeah, all my comics are bagged and boarded. So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Did anybody? We got a bunch of people in the chat. Like, would they be okay if they were submersed in water? You know what I mean? Like, I imagine if they got totally like over.
If they're totally submersed, no. I think
like if they were up to here, like I'd like to think.
I would think they would be okay as long as it's a good bag. You know what I mean? Like I've had some bags that like they just rip really easily. So who knows how many, like there's any holes in that bag. You might get some damage, maybe a couple here or there. But I would think for the most part they would be okay if slightly submerged. I wouldn't like it.
No. But I put water pumps. I put fire extinguishers. I got water sensors, and I got 2 dehumidifiers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm a construction guy.
My nephew is into construction. He's 19 or 20 now. He's into construction recently, so he went through trade school and stuff, which I advise everybody go through trade school.
Yeah.
Learn a trade. But yeah, he's
yeah, guys. I have a degree in Greco-Persian history, and I'm a construction worker. Just let that. I just finished my student loans 2 years ago. Okay.
I'll probably never pay off my student loans. I have a bachelor's degree in illustration. You know what, that's good for me wiping up the stuff I just spilled. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's no good. If you want to get a degree in art, don't just go online. Like nobody's ever asked me for my degree. It doesn't do any good. Learn a trade. I tell everybody, learn a trade, especially if you can.
My brother-in-law was his oldest daughter was of the age to apply to college and everything. She was a terrible student. And I'm one of 7 kids, and I'm the only one to graduate college. I joke that I'm the white sheep of the family. So Paul brought his daughter over to talk to me. He's like, "Uncle John, talk to Megan about college." And I was like, "What do you want to do?" She's like, "I don't know." I said, "Don't go."
Yeah, don't go.
He was trying to talk to. I said, "Do you want to be an actuary? Do you want to be a dentist? Do you want to be an accountant? Do you want to be a lawyer?" I said, you hated high school. You didn't go. Now your dad's going to spend 45 grand to send you to school, and you're not going to go.
45 grand if you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
Well, this was 25 years ago.
Oh, okay. Then yeah.
I was like, go. She's I don't know, 40 years old now, and she's still working at the same Applebee's.
Which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's a job.
She lives with him.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, if you get like, I could like, I get,
but she's not blind. I'm not making. I realize how that sounded.
No. Well, this is what I was getting at. Like, I actually like if I were fully healthy, what I make at my job would be enough for me to sustain a crappy 1-bedroom apartment in Ohio. You know what I mean? It's not that high of a cost of living here. I'd be scraping by, but I'd be able to do it with my student loans, my visual impairment. And it's not like I don't help around here, but it's just next to impossible making what I make. I'd have to make at least like $4,000 a month in order for me to really just move out and have full medical. Like that's the key thing. I need full medical with everything that I have going on. So, and it's not like I don't help around here, but it at a certain age, like otherwise, yeah, I'd love to move out. I'm 45 years old. I don't want to be living with my mother, but I'm sure she loves having me around. But still,
I paid off my car and I paid off my wife's car. We never buy new cars. We always buy new to us old beater cars. And as soon as the loan was done, I said, lower the insurance to bare minimum. Just lower the insurance, and she didn't listen to me. Thank God she didn't. You know how much this accident cost me?
I don't even want to know.
Well, I'm sure it's nothing, but it cost the insurance company $89,000.
Whoa!
And they wrote me a check for the book value for my car. My car was on its last legs; it had over 130,000 miles on it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So things were starting to go, and I'm like, it's only another year or two of like I'm fixing this, and then I got. So at that point, you just get rid of your car. You buy it. So now they gave me like book value $6,000 to buy a new car. You know what I mean? Nice. So I can't complain about anything,
Yeah. So I was gonna say, just I didn't mean to interrupt you, but sure. Like, what got you into comics? with like considering everything you've told me, like it's not like you have like a huge like artistic background that you got into comics because you love this. Like, what got you
Well,
into it? Because you got that collection is like impressive. So, what got you into
I have
it?
two older brothers and two older sisters. There was always comics in my house, be it
Okay.
Archie, Fantastic Four, Justice League or whatever. So there was always comics in my house, and I don't know what it was, but I challenge anybody. It's 1975, and you're picking up Fantastic Four, drawn by George Perez, inked by Joe Sinnott, written by Len Wein and Marv Wolfman. Then you pick up you're picking up Avengers, written by Jim Shooter, drawn by George Perez, and you're like, oh my God, this is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And, the story I always tell was in third grade, I couldn't read. I was in the bottom tier reading, because who wants to read? Like after school, do you do math problems with your buddies? Hey, let's sit around and do math. I didn't want to read. I wanted to run around, play baseball and stuff like that. So I was in the bottom reading group, and then I just made friends with kids. These two friends, they would draw comic books, and they would, and I was, oh, this looks so cool. And I'm drawing my own characters, and they're making fun of me because they draw Marvel and DC characters. And so they would give me comics, and now I'm like, oh, reading. Okay, now I understand reading. So I got into reading around third grade. So I went from bottom reading group to the top reading group because of comics. And then I love of reading just went into high gear to the point when I was in fifth grade. I told this story many times. The school psychologist pulled me into her office because I was reading King Arthur, like the Big Lamorte Arthur by Mallory, and I was taking notes. And what I was doing was I was taking index cards and I was writing like Sir Gawain, and I was making up his D&D stats.
Oh, nice.
So she didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I must have dropped. So she had these notes, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, And I just remember if she had said like I was doing something wrong, I was going to be done reading right then and there, And she's like, "No, you're not doing anything wrong." So, comics got me to read, got me to like use my imagination. From comics, got me into Dungeons and Dragons, and then from Dungeons and Dragons, villains, vigilantes, and I just love the imagination of comics. If that is it, just this imaginary world that is, and I love the continuity. I love, like, I'm reading believe it or not, I'm rereading these Fantastic Fours right now because I realized I was missing a couple issues from like Fantastic Four 370 to 400.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm loving them because it's like all the continuity, like they're bringing back Claw, and then Claw bumps into the Sandman, and the Sandman's like, "Hey, I'm not going to let you fight Ben Grimm. He helped me out," And then there's a note, Fantastic Four 140, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that issue," and and all this continuity, and then while that's going on, the Human Torch is talking to an ex-girlfriend that he hasn't seen in 14 years, and I'm just loving it so much. And then Doctor Doom is still finagling the watches for cosmic power, like he's been doing and I love all that stuff.
Nice.
It's just so much fun. And
that's dope. Yeah, I think actually that's how Luke kind of got into or got into more reading. Actually, the co-host of the topic was, I think, because his dad would sit him down with comics, and that's kind of what got him heavy into comics and into reading. So yeah, it's kind of funny how that's kind of ties some things together.
Well, I remember that my parents, because one of my father's friends was a professor, and he was like, comics are crap. And I think he convinced my father that I shouldn't be reading comics. And my mom said, he's reading.
He's reading.
Like, I don't know they didn't know that I could hear the conversation, but like he couldn't read. He was in the bottom reading group, and now he's in the top reading group. Let him read. Comics,
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I confronted that guy when I was in 8th grade, and I brought out The Watchmen. I was like, here, you pick out a book, I'll read it, and you read this. Why would I ever want to read a comic? I said, because you're afraid to back up, because you're afraid that this might be literature. This might be something worth. And his daughter used to come into my comic book store, and she would come in, she'd be like, I had to pretend I didn't know her because she would get in trouble with her dad. And she would buy her comics, and then it was just understood. She would go into the bathroom, and then she would come out without comics. She would literally stick all the comics down her shirt and go home. She had to sneak them in her house.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents were always supportive of our collecting habits too and stuff like that. So,
yeah. I took a photography course.
Nice.
I went through my college pretentious artsy fartsy stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, you played D&D, so you had that fantasy, like inspirational creativity anyway. You know what I mean? So you're gonna want to like do something in that creative field, and photography is an art form. So it does make sense for you to like get into that area. So there's some amazing photographers out there for sure. But yeah, my family's been my mom, all of them. They've all been super supportive of like my pursuit of like getting into the arts and doing it as a career. It's a matter of actually getting everything to where it can be a full career is the whole point. But yeah, so she understands like sometimes I'll just hide away forever and just draw. Like they they're very supportive. My family's been nothing but awesome.
I want to address what Michael Bancroft says. I came out of university one step away from being a socialist. Yep. I my very first time that I could vote, I voted the Green Party, Ralph Nader. Shows how I've come away. And then it wasn't until working in the real world we started seeing how things work. Especially I was a school teacher at one point, and I was like, oh my God, we got to defund the schools. We got it wasn't until I became a teacher that my politics kind of shifted to the way.
Going to I don't know. I always hung out with the kind of friends like we didn't talk politics all that much.
Right. Me and my friends didn't. We talked girls and comics and
yeah, it was all comics and stuff like that. Even my mindset growing up. I mean, this is me. I have like Inkspot's my colorist. He'll talk politics all day, and he sees my eyes glaze over all the time. Like, dude, I'm lost. My whole thing is I don't know enough about it to make a fair assessment, so I kind of stay out. Like I would have to do the research. So, but like even through college and high school and all that stuff, I was just more like, let's read comics, read books. Like I read an insane amount of. Funny enough, I never read Lord of the Rings trilogy, but
so good.
Weird. You would think I would have, but but Dragonlance, huge into Dragonlance.
So were you a D&D kid too? Also,
oh, dude, D&D. We played D&D with the original Redbox. That.
Me too.
OG, dude. So yeah, we grew up with the. I have a shirt with that on it. Actually, it's pretty dope. But yeah. So
we didn't know what we were doing. We just opened up the book.
Dude, you just made it up. You made it up as you went. Yeah, it was so much fun. But I kind of stopped. I got out of D&D in like my late teens, early 20s, kind of like when I started going to bars and stuff like that. Funny enough, around the same times when I stopped getting out of comics, because I collected from the age of like 8, 9, somewhere in there to all the way to about 20 something, and I just stopped. I became a 20-year-old. You know what I mean? I did the debauchery thing. So then I got back into comics, thankfully. But in a way, thankfully, I'm actually thankful that I got into indie comics. I was always into indie stuff, but like we grew up with Marvel mainly. Like I was mainly a Marvel guy. But once Image hit, like forget about it, because we love the art, so we were following the artists. And then also I got into like the Turtles and and I said Sam Key, so I'm delving back into old black and white books and Grendels and like the Crow, stuff like that. So that's really what I kind of got into, and eventually I just got out of it just because, like I said, I was hanging out with my friends, going to the bar, having a good time as a 20-year-old, which hey, it happens. But yeah, so
I took the photography class because I was always a history major. I studied Roman history and Greek history. And
you ever hang out with Odin, Dean's writer?
Odin Desco?
No, Odin, Michael Odin.
I think he's been on my channel.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, if you guys Roman history, forget about it. You guys will be talking for 7 hours.
We've been on a panel together, and we were going to set up to talk just Roman history together. That's right, yeah. But it's funny. My friend Jeff was a full-on creep. Like he was like all artsy fartsy. He wanted to draw and paint, but anything to get naked girl model. You know what I mean? So he did drawing classes. Yeah. Then he's like, John, you got to take photography with me because this is the best way to get naked chick models. We were in Albuquerque. All the girls are artsy fartsy. Oh yeah, I'm liberated. I'll pose for you. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't even know how to work this camera. Oh, that's right.
I mean, I didn't go that method, but I would draw definitely in public, and you get the girls like, oh, you know how to draw. Like, I don't know why they're attracted to that. You do realize if I'm drawing, I'm not paying attention to you, so it doesn't make any sense for you to really be attracted to something like that. I'm gonna ignore you.
Yeah, girls like artists, girls like musicians.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And
Artists,
you can't fake playing an instrument.
no,
But you can fake being a photographer. I did it for a semester.
That's not totally inaccurate, but yeah, but you're right though. Like, music and the visual art, they kind of go hand in hand. Like, there's a lot of musicians that either write or draw or are into like comics and stuff like that, and vice versa. Like Luke, that's what Luke and I, Death Metal Hero, we started becoming friends because of music. Like, we both were into the same kind of music, so that's what made us click. It's mainly metal. I do, but I like a wide variety of things. Well, it's easier for me to name what I don't like than what I do like. I loathe country beyond all recognition. I think any metalhead does. I'm not big on jazz, and there's like maybe one or two other things, but like I love the blues, I love classical, I love rock. I'm just very picky about what I do listen to, though, is the thing. Like, I know it's blasphemy. Luke and I go back and forth about it all the time. It's kind of a running gag, and I have my reasons, but I don't like Led Zeppelin.
My God.
I know. See,
Everybody, see ya.
I get that all the time, but I do have my reasons, and Luke knows it. But it's mainly the singer. I just don't like his voice. I just don't. It's a vocal
It's
thing.
Rush for me. I can't.
Rush is the same way. I love the band, but Geddy Lee, dude, I can't. I'm like, dude, no, stop. I just can't do it. Yeah.
For me, I like heavy metal. I grew up listening to punk and classic rock with my own
nice.
father. You know, Led Zeppelin is still one of my favorite bands. Zeppelin and the Beatles.
And that's fine. Yeah. I actually have the Led Zeppelin comic, which is funny.
I cannot stand rap music. And I tried, growing up in New York, I know people are going to think I'm clout chasing or whatever, but we had over in Manhasset a big skateboard ramp. And one of the guys back, the Beastie Boys would be skateboarding with us.
Oh, wow.
I don't like them. I don't like their music.
That's fine.
That's okay. They're nice. They're cool guys, but I'm not gonna lie and suck up to them. I just don't like them.
No, and you don't. But that's the thing. You don't have to. And like, they're with hip hop and rap. I'm once again very particular. Like, I like Tech. There's an artist named Tech Nine. I like Tech Nine. I could do some Beastie Boys, but there's plenty of stuff that I don't like. That's rap. I just can't get behind it. Like, especially newer stuff. And I was recently had somebody on my channel, and they were like, "Oh, metal's dead." I'm like, "Well, you're just not looking hard enough, because to me, no genre dies really. You just got to look on. I guarantee I can still find disco bands.
I look at it like this, punk rock. I used to be so into finding punk rock bands, just like I used to be into comics. Just like I'm into comics now. Like, let's face it, what we're doing right now is weird. Going online and finding other people making comic books. This really is a niche of a niche of a niche.
Oh, yeah.
I mean? And I used to be like that with punk. I'd go see bands and do this and look for other punk bands. But I don't do that anymore. But those bands still exist. I just know about them.
I just
Pete's telling me about metal bands that I'm like, because he's 50, he's my age, 55 years old. He's got kids in college, and he's like the oldest guy at the metal shows. He's an investment banker,
That's awesome.
Goes to the metal shows.
That'll be me.
Wife is wife. Did you have fun at the metal show?
I just heard about this one punk band maybe a few days ago called Cosmic Joke. They're actually really good, and they're new. So I was like, this band's pretty dope. Yeah, and they only have like 4 or 5 songs, I think. They don't have that many, but I found them through TikTok and then through YouTube. So I was like, this band's actually really good, but I'm very picky. And the guy that was listing these bands that are like, you check these bands out, I hated every single other one of them. They were all metal. I'm like, but Cosmic Joke, I was like, I looked into them, like, this band's actually pretty good. So they're out there. You just gotta.
Have you ever heard of Cadaver? I know they've been around since like.
I've heard of Cadaver. Yeah,
I could love them. I've been to the point I've been buying vinyl. I bought more vinyl in the past year and a half than I bought in the past 10 years.
Nice. Yeah.
The basement, a buddy of mine gave me his whole stereo, so I got like an old 80s style stereo setup over there. With all
I really like a bit. It's what you say, Cadaver. I like a band called Polka Dot Cadaver. They're kind of
Oh,
metal meets punk meets disco-ish stuff. Like they
wow.
got horns. Like forget about it. They're a mixture of stuff, but they're mainly metal. But yeah, so but there's a lot of great bands out there. Like I said, it's just like comics. Like yeah, a lot of people complain about the mainstream. Let alone I do find some mainstream stuff that's not bad, but a lot of people complain about the mainstream stuff. It's like, well, there's still great comics out there. You just
Right.
got to hunt them down. It's not hard to do.
It takes a little, like I said, comics are hard work. It takes a little bit of effort. It's same
Mhm.
thing with music. I know that there's still good metal bands. I know there's still good punk bands, and I'm sure there's good rap acts. But
And there's probably good, like I said, there's probably good disco. There's probably plenty of good stuff out there. It's just, it's not popular, is all. It's not in the mainstream. Just like what we're doing isn't in the mainstream, just because it doesn't quote unquote sell. It's not what's in popular right now. Now, trends tend to cycle every 20 years. It hasn't really cycled yet, which is weird because to me the last big creative flux we had was the 90s. Like there was a big creative flux in the 90s, and then after that things slowly started to go downhill and they just haven't swung back yet. That
I,
pendulum's got to swing.
I got 55 nieces and nephews, from 40 years old to in diapers, So I enjoy when we get together and we talk because I'm like, all right, I'm a 56-year-old man. You kids today with your crap, lousy music. But then they'll come over here because past 2 years I set up my record collection and took out all my CDs and my vinyl and my 45, and they're all looking, oh my god, this is so great, I got this right. And I'm like, you like this? They're like, yeah, Uncle John, music is crap today. Have you noticed that? And I'm like, so I'm not the old fart. Music
No.
is bad. Because my father used to complain about today's music, back in the 70s and 80s, and I'm listening to, T-Rex and David Bowie going, Dad, this is great music, oh, this is crap. Now I'm finding out maybe I'm just so cool.
Well, well, you are, but it's also, I mean, it's negative and positive. Like TikTok is kind of to blame for that in a way, because like my niece who's 16, she just turned 16, but she asked my one nephew who's 20. She's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of the Deftones?" I'm thinking I've seen the Deftones like 7 times. I'm like, I'm like, that's awesome that she's never like she's just discovering this stuff, and
I've seen
like
them so drunk and fall off a stage in Albuquerque.
nice. Yeah. So, but they're discovering this stuff because, like you said, there's a lot of. It's easy to put stuff out now. Doesn't mean it's necessarily good, So there's a lot of stuff they're inundated with, but the stuff that they're hearing from like bands that have been established, or even artists, like they see artists like visual stuff on YouTube, and it's really good, but it might be from like the 90s or early aughts or 80s or something like that. So it's I don't know. Like I said, there was like some kind of renaissance going on in that time frame, much like the 60s and 70s, and things died off and then they swung back, and we're still waiting for it to come back around.
Because
So yeah,
I mean, we got a bunch of people watching the chat. Am I wrong? Is pop music just awful right now? Like,
no, it's awful.
Like that to me, I was like, that's when you become an old fart, when you can't stand music.
I was never into pop anyway.
Even in the 80s, as much as I was a punk kid, like, all right, that's a good song. All right, this band, I respect this band. This is a good. But now, I'm like, oh,
it's tough nowadays. Well, granted, I don't listen to too much new stuff anyway, unless I try to find it, and I only try to find stuff of the genres that I like, because I mainly buy songs on iTunes, and then that's what I go off of. I don't really listen too much to Spotify or iMusic or anything like that, because I'm very, very picky. It's ridiculous, but uh, I don't know. I think there is just so much out there right now that there's so much of it is just garbage, and it's tough to find those new ones that are really good. And the good ones are the old bands or old artists, and so that's what people are gravitating to a lot. Like just like main comics, a lot of people are looking to people like Finch, Silvestri, Capullo, McFarlane. Why? Because they're good and they love what they do. That's not to say there's not really good artists that are coming up now. It's just they haven't been found yet or discovered, and it's just there's so much garbage that it's hard to sift through the good stuff. And I try to tell people there is good stuff out there. You just got to find it. You just got to look.
Last Monday, I had an afternoon conversation because he was in Britain with this guy Adam Reeves, who's doing a comic called Trombone Man, and it's the story of Don Drummond, the saxophone player from
Oh, okay.
and we just had like a 2-hour conversation. I just shut my mouth and listened to him. It was like a resource. This was a guy who wrote, nonfiction books about the Jamaican ska scene, about how
Oh wow.
there was now it escapes me the name of this, but there was basically like a juvenile delinquent center. If you were too poor or if you committed crimes and you were underage, you went to this boys' school in Kingston, Jamaica. We're talking from like the 40s to the 70s. And one of the things that they did was they had an amazing music program. And they were just like, if we get these kids, to learn music, they won't be trouble. And a lot of these kids, and they said that's where the whole Jamaica was big for jazz musicians. And then later on the ska. And I could have just listened to that for so long, just a whole conversation about music. That I always liked Jamaican ska music. Like when you're into punk, a lot of the 80s punk bands, like the Clash, they would tour with original ska bands like the ska.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? So you'd hear a lot of that music, but I was casually into it. And then I dated a girl before my wife who was from Trinidad, and that was like her dad's. Like my dad listened to Frank Sinatra, her dad listened to the old Rocksteady and stuff like that. So it was so fun to have this guy who was like a scholar on this talk to me. I could have listened to him all night long, and he was saying the same things. He goes, "Yeah, I'm not too interested in today's music." He goes, "But a lot of people are reaching back and they're discovering the stuff because these guys were good." Like, when you're into comics, it's only a matter of time before sooner or later you're going to discover Neil Adams.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think it's more or less the passion that the older guys, or even like stuff like even 30s and like older, like people who are 30 and older, they just had this passion about the art form, the comics, the music. They really loved it so much. Like, come on, dude, we're doing this and I have a full-time job, but I'm still doing this. Why? I'm not making any money, but I love it so much that I'm willing to just do it. Like, I want to get paid, don't get me wrong. But same thing with music. And I have so many friends that are in bands. Dude, they're like, okay, I got to go to my gig. And then the next day I got to wake up to inspect fire hoses. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like they love it so much. Like, oh, I got paid enough for gas money. Like, but you do it because you just, like,
I got a buddy at work, this guy, Johnny. Like, he comes to work. He's an electrician. And he's just like, he's like a zombie. How you doing?
It's me at work.
You were gigging last night? Yeah. Yeah, and then you go to the bar, and he's on stage singing passionately, playing guitar, and he's so lively. And then in between sets, he's talking to everybody. But then you see him; he would rather devote his energy towards to do what he loves. But that don't pay the bills, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. And that is well. The other thing, I'm thankful that my job is very robotic, so my mind can kind of wander. And 90% of the day, I'm thinking about drawing or what I could do with this comic idea or that comic idea, or what image I could concoct later tonight for just a regular, just fun old piece. So it's soul sucking, because it's like, this is what feeds us. This is our drug. This is our life essence, is the art, is that art form. And to not be like doing it for a living, it doesn't physically hurt, but it spiritually hurts, So a lot of us that are doing this, we do it because we almost have to. Like, I tell everybody, if I go fully blind, I don't know, I'll write, I'll learn to play guitar, I'll be a blind sculptor. I don't know. I got to do something that's creative in some way, shape, or form. Because if I go even more than a day without drawing, I feel like crap. I just feel like I wasted my life. I feel bad whenever and I think everybody should every now and then, play a video game, watch a movie, do something.
Right.
You got to get away. But if I do that and I'm like, oh, I didn't draw anything at all today, but I'm tired and I got to go to bed because I got to work the next day, I feel like I just didn't do anything, even though you need that time to recharge.
I didn't write anything today. I was just a disgusting potato, and
and like you said, you feel like a potato. I get it. I get it. And like I said,
you look like what's his name? Jeez, now why is this actor's name? From the Thing.
Oh, Kurt Russell?
Yeah, you look like Kurt Russell.
Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment.
You got a Kurt Russell going.
He's a handsome lad. So thank you.
Have you seen? You look like Kurt Russell in Bone Tomahawk.
I haven't seen Bone Tomahawk. I hear it's great. I
Oh,
get
don't watch
Scotty
it with
in.
your wife.
I,
Don't watch it with your mom.
I've gotten Scotty in before because I used to shave the beard and just leave this. I've gotten Scotty in. I've gotten a few people. Kurt Russell's the first though, so thank you. But yeah. So I don't know. I've always had like my logo is like my beard and then one eye because I'm that's my most blind eye is my left eye and that one's blanked out in my logo. So yeah, and even the whole blind thing, I initially was never didn't tell anybody for a while, and the people were like, "What? You can't see?" Like they were all shocked, and a lot of my friends were like, "You should lean into that." I'm like, "I really don't want to." I'm like, "I want to be recognized for being a good artist, for being a good artist." You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like, "Oh, he's good for a blind guy," which I have gotten. I'm like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Oh, that's a compliment." I'm like,
John, you're a pretty good writer for a real stupid person.
yeah, exactly my point. It's like thanks, I appreciate it. I'm like, but I get what they're trying to say though. So it is like thank you, but I hope it's good because it's good, And with what Ink Spots and I are doing, I think it's really good. Like I said, I've been working on fulfillment, stuff like that. So it's we're having a blast, man. Telling stories. I love comics, man. They're so much fun. There's so much lore, so much you could do. It, and we don't know why we do it, but we do it. We just love it. It's like sports. Why do people love sports? I don't get it, but they do.
Yeah.
So I love comics, man. I've always loved comics, even whenever I stopped collecting them for a long time. I've always loved them. Like I would buy one here or there just because I love them so much.
Yep. Yeah. I actually feel bad for people who don't have like an obsessive hobby.
I agree.
I work with a lot of guys that are, you know, we're construction workers. By the time we retire, you break your neck or you got the rotator cuff surgery or whatever. And then I don't know what's going on. But a lot of the guys they retired, they're twice divorced. They got nothing to look forward to. And they're just like, oh, what am I going to do? The only reason why they're retiring is because all the social security benefits and stuff kicks in, you know what I mean? And it makes no sense to work, but they don't want because they got nothing. I'm just like, dude, I can't wait to retire. Work is getting in the way of all the crap that I
Work
want.
is getting in the way, dude. I want to do this.
I mean, right now, the only thing stopping me is I don't have a car. My wife won't let me, and I'm trying not to spend any money. But if I was retired and I had my funds and my pension, and I'd be like, let's I could write comic books while going to Alaska. I could write comic books while because I'm not drawing them. I could write them and send the script to Renzo. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing.
Stuff I want to do.
Even if you were drawing them in today's age with technology and everything like that, you could get on your iPad, draw. There's plenty of art. I think Malin uses just an iPad, so there's plenty of artists that just can go on the go and just do their thing, pitch it to the writer who's in another country. They could just be somewhere eating dinner, fix their script, send it to a letterer who I'm sure could do their stuff on the phone or in an iPad as well. Like with technology today, you don't need to be stuck at home doing anything. Now, I prefer to be at home doing it. Yeah, without a doubt. But I don't have to be in all reality. And that's a great thing about everything that we're doing today. Not only that, communication. Like I never would have met you had we not had this whole weird concoction that we have of the internet. So I wouldn't have met Ink Spots, Playgol, Luke, Billy, hockey, all my friends, Frega. I never would have been friends with Frega. Shelby Robertson. I'm friends with Shelby Robertson. That's so weird to say. Bancroft in another country. Like I never would have met any of these people had it not been for this. Like, yeah, there's some negative crap that comes along with this. You got to tune it out and just try to find the good.
The negative stuff is easy to avoid.
It's so easy to avoid.
And if I was working and I wasn't sitting home, with trying not to do anything because I wouldn't have got drawn into my negative drama the past 2 weeks. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about or not. But if I was working and like came home and like was grounded and hanging out with people, then I saw that somebody was busting my chops, I would have been like, that's kind of pathetic, But since I'm sitting at home and I'm like, I'm not gonna respond. I'm not gonna respond. But after 8 hours of thinking about not responding, you're like, I got the perfect response now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I came home tired, or me and my wife were gonna go out to dinner or hang out with my friends.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, and like you say, because you're at home, you're kind of stuck. So but I'm at work for 8 hours. I come home. eat dinner, gym, whatever I do, I draw. So I'm not on Twitter as much or Facebook or any social media sites. I'm on there every now and then. But also being blind, I really can't read what people are saying. I can see the pretty pictures. So that's why a lot of stuff I'm liking is all my feed, dude. Is my algorithm's triggered for artwork.
Now's your chance.
I can't see it, so I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. In order for me to see it, I have to turn the magnifier on my phone and hold my It's like I'm not doing that, and I got too much to do. I'm busy working, shipping, getting stuff out, so I just can't. So I'm kind of fortunate being blind because I can't see the drama.
The secret to avoid drama is to avoid telling others what to do.
Yeah, true.
Oh, well.
No, it's not. It's easy to avoid it, but it's hard to stay positive. There's plenty of stuff that can get you down. But I still say, do your best to try to stay in that enlightened state. Hang out with fun, cool people. Have a good time. Like I saw Alien Romulus. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was okay. It's an alien movie. Now, do they rely on nostalgia and all this stuff? Yes. Do they there are other bad? I can nitpick it all day long. But in the end, I wanted to see an alien movie. I saw an alien movie, bar none.
I saw the first alien movie in the theaters, and that was the only time I've seen it. I got to watch it again.
Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite movies.
And I saw the second alien movie in the theaters.
Nice.
And that was the only time I watched. And then I saw the third alien movie in the theaters, and I hated it so much I've never seen another alien movie since.
Okay,
I'm not stubborn.
Alien one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again.
So good.
People were talking about it. I'm like, I don't remember that scene.
No, it's like people are like, Romulus is the best. No, you guys are stupid. Alien 1 is the best alien movie there ever was, and one of my favorite movies. 2 is just a fun sci-fi action flick, in my opinion.
I remember loving both of them. Yeah,
they're both great. I'm okay on 3. I know a lot of people hated it. That's fine. They're allowed. I was okay on it. I actually don't mind it. I watch it maybe once a year, if that. I come back to it. After that, I kind of check out in a way. I've seen them all, but I'm hit and miss. Romulus, I guess if you don't like 3, maybe you won't like it. I don't know. Catch it at a matinee or wait for it to come on streaming.
What I want to do is I saw somebody posted on Twitter, the chronology. Apparently every movie has an exact date. So I think I want to sit down and watch them all in the chronology. I know the movies came out in different orders.
Yeah.
And watch them in movie order.
I don't know if I'd want to watch Prometheus and then Covenant and then Alien 1 or however it goes. Because I know Prometheus would be the first one. And I don't know I didn't like Prometheus. Some people did. It wasn't for me. But mainly because it wasn't called Alien Prometheus. I get it. But to me, it was an alien movie. But the alien wasn't in it. Where's the xenomorph? To me, that's an alien movie. You got the xenomorph in it, killing people. I'm having fun already. You know what I mean?
I like the world building.
The world building's fine. I'm not mad about that.
A guy who's only seen 2 of the movies, but I like the world building because a lot of it has I've got it through osmosis from other people.
Yeah, dude, it's the internet. You're gonna hear about everything. But with Covenant, if they had the same story aspects to it, but threw in a xenomorph somewhere, I probably would have been a little happier. I mainly go to see alien movies for that creature.
I saw Alien vs Predator. I did see that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's to me it's just an action flick. Those are just action flicks. They're mindless. Here's the thing. Everybody expects the movies that come out that they go to see that they're the franchises they love. They expect them to be the pinnacle, best of the best. It's like you're never. How many comics have you read where you're like, oh, that was okay?
Yeah,
I can't count how many. They're not all of them are bangers. There's some that are bad. There's some that are amazing, but most of them are just that was not bad. That was okay. A thing is okay. I had a video about this. It's okay to be okay. It's fine to have an okay thing. Right. That's why I say though, if you for a movie, try to catch it at a matinee or a cheaper rate, because when you go see a movie, you're supporting maybe the next film. Also, you never know.
I love going to the movies. My wife and I
love going to the movies.
Up until COVID, we went to the movies every week. That was
Yeah, I love going to the movies, man. The whole experience, getting the popcorn. Yeah.
Find a different restaurant, go to the movie, see a movie. She would pick the movie, then I would pick the movie. And it's funny when I picked Tropic Thunder when that first came out.
Dude, one of my favorite comedies. So good.
she's like, all right, we're gonna go see this movie. I'm not gonna complain, because she dragged me to some, I don't even remember what it was.
Like The Notebook or something. No?
No. To me, that's a horror movie. My biggest fear is dementia. So I told my wife I'm never watching The Notebook. I've seen too many family members and friends get dementia. I'm terrified of dementia. So
Fair enough.
Never watch that is like The Exorcist as far as I'm concerned.
Jeez, okay. Fair enough.
But we went to go see Tropic Thunder, and she was tense. Like I just, it's kind of like just grin and bear it, and. Man, she was kicking the chair. She almost spilled the popcorn. She was
so
like halfway through the movie. She's picking up the phone. I'm pre-ordering this on Amazon right now.
Dude, when I was married, we didn't have much money and stuff like that, so I had to sell all my DVDs, sold everything. The only movie I've ever rebought since then is Tropic Thunder. It's the only physical copy movie I ever rebought. Everything else is on streaming. Plus, my brother has an insane collection. So, but the only one I've ever rebought was Tropic Thunder. That movie is so good. It's beyond compare. Like it's one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yeah, I did not expect how funny it was. At work, that was like the topic for like 2 months. The guys who did it, people like, I guess I got to see this movie.
You gotta see that movie.
Yeah, have you seen another stupid movie that makes me? Do you see Strange Wilderness or Grandma's Boy?
No, I haven't even heard of it.
Oh, guys, there's just the stupidest stoner humor. I'm not even a stoner. I love stoner metal, like bands like Fu Manchu and The Sword, and what's the other? Freedom Hawk. I love bands like that, and I love stoner humor. You got to watch Strange Wilderness and Grandma's Boy. It's just so much fun.
Grandma's Boy is dope.
Yeah,
Grandma's Boy.
Strange Wilderness is the same people. That was their follow-up movie.
Oh, okay. Then I'll probably like it.
Yeah. Prometheus for me was like an Image comic books. Looks great, but horrible writing. Yeah, people trashed it.
Yeah, like I said, to me, like I said, I know it didn't say Alien Prometheus, but I want a xenomorph in there. And yeah, he's right. I could see that. This, it looked great, but it wasn't. I wasn't a fan. Now, my friend Plagle, he loves like all the Alien movies, and that's fine because he's a fan. And I'm not mad about that. I'm like I said, with music, I'm very picky. Very picky. So I'm picky about my movies. I'm picky about my comics. I'm picky about my artwork, my food.
I'm picky about movies and comics.
Yeah. So
people get freaked out when I didn't see Die Hard until last year.
What do you think?
I thought it was awesome.
Awesome. One of the best Christmas movies there is.
Yep. I have this personality with if people tell me, oh, you're gonna love this. I'm like, no, I'm not. No,
okay. I hate that though. You're gonna love this. It's like you don't know. Like
right.
You don't know if I'm gonna love it or not.
Oh my God. You gotta like. There's this band called U2. You like music. You're gonna like.
No.
Like no.
I could see somebody saying you might like this. Check it out. I'm fine with that. I might like it.
So
okay.
I've never seen a James Bond movie. I've never seen a Godzilla movie, and I'm not into action films, so I never saw Speed.
Well, if you're not into action films, I can understand you maybe not liking Die Hard. But
so I was in a chat, and everybody was just like, "Dude, you didn't see Die Hard?" And the guys who were like full on artsy fartsy pretentious art guys were just like, "John, Die Hard is awesome."
So
and we just talked about like. Godel, Escher, and Bach and mathematical music, and he was just like, no, that was awesome. So I was like, all right. And it just happened to be playing in the movie theater. It was right after COVID. Nobody was going to the movies. So they just like, we're going to release classic movies.
Nice.
I was like, I told my wife, I was like, let's go see Die Hard. And she's like, okay, I'll make popcorn. I'm like, no, it's playing in the movie theater. Let's go see. And she's like, I saw that movie in the 80s. I'm going to pay money to go. And we loved it. She was like, I'm so glad you picked it. Like, we were like cheering, and it was so freaking good.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a great movie. Like I said, one of the best. There's always that debate, whether or not it's a Christmas movie. It is, and it's one of the best ones. Like Scrooged, fantastic Christmas movie. We
were watching Die Hard. I'm like, look at that guy smoking.
Yeah.
If one scene they're at a party and there's just like guys smoking.
Yeah.
They open up the door. The girl's got no shirt on for no reason whatsoever.
Ridiculous. Yeah, that's how it was back then. That's how they were back then.
This was the 80s. Yeah. Awesome. And then you got to know every character before they got killed. Mm-hmm. And what I really liked about it was to me, that was like the best Batman movie because I don't like this Batman can beat up anybody. I like the Batman who's smart. He sneaks. He's vulnerable. Mm-hmm. like the '80s Batman by Jim Aparo and Mike W. Barr. Like I always like you see him land on the building and there's a street fight. Nowadays, Batman just will like throw out a device and stun everybody or jump down and beat up everybody. But these comics, all of a sudden you cut to the street fight and you see an arm grab one guy and that guy gets thrown away and they're like, who is that? And you see a cape going. So now they're all distracted, and then he comes out and he takes them all out one, and they're like, okay, that Batman I like. So that Bruce Willis, he would take out one guy and then 20 minutes of him huffing and puffing, pulling glass out of his feet, fixing bandages on. I really like that.
Well, then Die Hard is actually almost the birth of the death of the 80s big buff action star. Like, because that was like the first average, everyday, run-of-the-mill looking dude, like right. Just taking on a whole bunch of people.
Like that's what my dad looked like in the 80s. You know what I mean?
That's why I love the movie Nobody.
I never heard of it.
Oh, Nobody is so good. It's got I forget his name all the time, but he's Better Call Saul. He's that guy from Better Call Saul.
Yes.
Dude, he takes so much damage in that. But Odenkirk, K-pop, what's up? He takes so much damage in that movie, but it's so fun. It's so much action, and if you like Die Hard, I'm not gonna say you will. You might like Nobody. Give it a shot. Rent it or watch it on streaming.
When the commercials came out, but it was like gone just as fast.
Yeah, it's on. I think it's on. I'm not sure if it's on streaming right now or not. But
K-pop says that Batman Returns was also a good Christmas movie. Yes,
without a doubt.
Movie, but it was a bad Batman movie. That was the movie where Batman just drops a bomb and machine guns come out.
Well, it's better than him running around with a bomb and not throwing it into a river because there's ducks there,
Best Superman is human. Best Batman is detective. I'll not say that the best Superman is human, because Superman is supposed to, like, to me, the best Superman is inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want my Superman to be like above human frailties, and I want when Superman lands for the first time, even if you don't know who Superman is, and even if you're the bad guy, you're like,
wow. I never got into Superman in the comics, but the movies, Christopher Reeves, I really like the Superman movies.
Yeah, he was my favorite. He was my favorite Superman. Gremlins 2. Anybody watch Gremlins 2?
That's a Christmas movie? Or no, Gremlins 1 is a Christmas movie.
But Gremlins 2 is an insane movie.
It's weird.
Batman 66 movie is great. I like the Batman 66.
I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying it's super corny.
Oh yeah, that show was lightning in a bottle. You can't copy that show. No. I don't know. It was, and only somebody as quirky as Adam West could have pulled off that show.
Mm.
If you had changed. My wife bought me the collected DVDs, and you see auditions of other actors. That show never would have made it if not for, or maybe it would have made it, but it would have been completely different.
It also probably not have made it as long as,
Yeah,
but it's classic.
So, anything else you want to talk about? I realize we've been talking for an hour and 47.
I could talk all day about comics and art and movies and stuff like that. I mean, well, here's the thing. This is essentially what we do on Topic List. I'm just usually drawing. So it's like, essentially this was the show. But, I still would love to promote that. If there's anybody new watching or something like that, check out Luke Alietta. Go subscribe to Death Metal Hero. We do Topic Lists. Plus you get other great content on my channel, Unhinged Entertainment. I do, Old Man Draws and Talks. I used to be Blind Guy Draws, but some people started saying some stuff. Check out Frog G, please. Ink spots, killed it on those colors. I'm in the middle of fulfillment of sending out. I should finish it up hopefully in a few weeks. It's Mother and I doing the fulfillment, and
put Mom to work. Right, she can't be loafing around spilling coffee on your comics without some sort of payback.
That's what I'm saying. Well, she pays back plenty by driving me around everywhere I want to go. So you know what I'm saying. But no, we're
you're not allowed to drive then, I guess, if you're legally blind.
Yeah, she takes me to the comic shop almost every week, thankfully. So but like I say, very supportive person. And check out Frog though. Like I said, we're in the middle of fulfillment. I sent out some yesterday. May not do any tonight just because it's getting late. I have to eat and everything like that. But Wednesday, I'll probably start some tomorrow night. Please check out Unhinged Entertainment tomorrow night at midnight. Hockey and I at Hockey, we have a show called The Bowler and the Beard. We'll be going live. We draw for an hour. We talk. That's it.
Which channel is that on?
It's on mine, Unhinged Entertainment. So you can check that out. Yeah.
And Marcus,
So,
could you put his link in the chat?
oh, I'd appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I'd like to say, my comic at Fund My Comic, it's over on Saturday, I think at noon. So I'm probably going to have a closeout show on Friday after it's clobbered time to close out the Fund My Comic.
Nice.
The Kickstarter still, I think, is another 2 weeks, but the Fund My Comic ends Saturday, I think at noon. So
nice.
I might as well give myself a plug in there.
Do it. Plug away, I say. I do. I always forget to plug Frog. Anytime I have somebody on or something like that,
Yeah,
I always forget.
I always feel like, Stanley's not here. We got to promote ourselves. No, Stanley's not around anymore. I swear most of the people on the road here are blind. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the scariest drivers in the world are in Texas. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know, man. I lived in Florida for 10 years. It's pretty horrifying.
We had that was a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah, dude, I had a great time.
You know, until Luke, I sent him the link too. I was hoping maybe he'd pop in.
Yeah, I think he already had the stream set up and stuff, so he probably just went ahead with the show. Like I said, we haven't missed a week in 4 years. Going on 4 years.
Is he still live now?
Probably. We usually go until about midnight, 11:30, 11:45 Eastern. So,
What's his channel?
Death Metal Hero.
Okay, let's look and see if he's still live.
Let's say what time is it? Yeah, he should be. It's only 10:30.
Death Metal
Hero. Yeah. It's him with a mohawk is his logo. Yeah. A skull with a mohawk. Yeah.
Yep, he's still live. So how about we all jump over there? Just
go tell Luke we all said hi. Tell him I'm going to eat some cheeseburgers and I might be in.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Let's all go.
I appreciate that.
Go raid him, and then I'm going to go eat my dinner. And I might do. It's 10 o'clock already. Maybe in a half hour, I might go live. I don't know. It depends on how I feel.
Well, dude, thank you for having me on, man. I had a great time. This was great. Maybe another time we could actually have Luke on as well and do a topicless invades John's long box.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, this was a great conversation. This is why I do it. I enjoy talking to people. And this
it's great fun.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Go. Let's go raid Death Metal Hero, and I'm gonna go. Bye, everybody.